Funding for Israel and Ukraine has become a contentious issue for Republicans, and one that Republican presidential candidates are frequently asked to address during the primary campaign. Congress is still struggling to pass aid packages for Israel and Ukraine, and this week White House Budget Director warned that without new funding, aid for Ukraine will run out before the end of year. A CBS News poll shows Republican voters increasingly skeptical of Ukrainian aid, but support for providing military aid to Israel is much stronger than for Ukraine. A CBS News YouGov poll conducted earlier this month showed that 65% of Republicans support sending weapons and military aid to Israel, but only 45% of Republicans think the United States should send weapons and military aid to Ukraine. Here's where the 2024 Republican field stands on these questions. Former New Jersey Governor Christie is one of the fiercest advocates of robust funding for both Israel and Ukraine, and has not held back from criticizing his Republican rivals for their handling those crises. He said he would jointly support packaging aid to Ukraine and Israel, which most Democrats also support. The former New Jersey governor also traveled to Ukraine in August, becoming the second presidential candidate to do so. Former Vice President Mike Pence, who has since dropped out of race, became the first GOP candidate to make trip in June. Both Christie and Nikki Haley are in the more conservative mainstream on foreign policy and support using U.S. resources to promote democracy abroad. During third Republican debate in Miami in November, Christie said funding Ukraine was price of being leaders of free world. The former New Jersey governor also called for funding for Israeli efforts to defeat Hamas. He was the first Republican candidate to visit Israel after Hamas launched its brutal and deadly attack on October 7, and he chastised other Republican candidates for not visiting immediately. In Israel, Christie met with families of hostages and survivors of the Hamas attack. Christie said providing support to Gaza should be a very low priority compared to helping the Israelis. Ron DeSantis shares some of Donald Trump's America First isolationist impulses and is among the Republicans most skeptical about funding Ukraine. Many Republicans criticized DeSantis earlier this year for calling Russia's war against Ukraine a territorial dispute, and DeSantis quickly walked back that comment. However, DeSantis said Ukraine aid was not vital U.S. national interests and argued that the U.S. had more important problems to solve closer its own country. We cannot prioritize intervention in an escalating foreign war over the defense-owned homeland, especially when tens of thousands of Americans die each year from narcotics smuggled across open border, and arsenals critical to own security are rapidly depleted. DeSantis said in March that media personality Tucker Carlson won the candidate